founder of Loudwater. The other gentleman that's in here, that's my partner, John. You'll see him referred to as Palmetto Sleuth on some of our postings online. First and foremost, it's an honor to meet you. I'm glad we were able to make this happen. And like I told you when we were talking on the phone, I definitely believe that your story within itself is going to have a lot of power, a lot of effect. I mean, we've worked with families all over the country that have been in similar situations to yours. I know each and everybody is different, right, as far as their situations, but yours is definitely a strong one. It's definitely close to us. So anything that we can do to allow you to get your story out there and help others, or for just to utilize, that's what we try. That's what we utilize our platform for. Is not only do we try to help get answers for these cases, but we also the I hate using the word victim, but I mean in essence that's what it is. Is victims of these things that happen. If y'all can support each other, there's certain things that you've dealt with that nobody else, unless they've been in that situation, can. So I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm going to just start. If you will, just let us know who you are, or let everybody know who you are, and then you just start wherever you're comfortable at.
My name's Amanda Manley, and I'm the daughter of Sheila K. Patterson Manley, who was murdered December 11th of 1996. Sorry.
No, absolutely. And at any point in time, you just take your time, okay?
Sorry. I just don't like my daughter hear me cry. um, she was 34 when she got murdered, and I was 13. And I never really honestly thought, losing a family member, never thought I would be in those shoes. I never wish it on my worst enemy. Sorry again. Um, I never thought, when I was young, I was like, wow, when my mom was murdered, I was like, wow, she was 34. She was old, I was 13. I turned 34 and I just started life. And now I have a 13-year-old, and an 18-year-old and an 11-year-old girl. They have three girls, and it's not only just me as being a victim of this, as my mom's the victim, but of being through someone who's lost a family member in such a tragic way. And it doesn't just bother, the immediate family, it's just the grandkids, that's why I'm trying to be quiet, because my daughter right now, she's so worried that she don't even like me going to the tanning bed because she's scared something like that's going to happen to me.
Yes, ma'am. How old were you at the time that this happened?
I had just turned 13.
13. That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure. That's what I had said previously, but I didn't want to misspeak on anything.
No, it's fine. You're fine. But really, I blocked a lot of things out due to how things were handled with me, with my mom's case throughout the years. Unfortunately, I'm not saying anyone out, but I was told, if you quit blocking things out, Amanda, you'll solve your mom's case. Quit blocking things out. So I played like the game of Clue. It went all the way around in a big circle the whole time, until I never gave up on it. I always had hope, but I never, excuse me, I never thought it would be such a great impact as it does. It has on me as today. With PTSD, I have depression, major depression. Unfortunately, of certain things that I went through, like trying to help solve my mom's case all alone, by myself when I was so young. But I don't wish I wouldn't wish it on whoever did that to my mom. I wouldn't wish it on their family members. Honestly, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. And then, like I said, you don't have to keep apologizing. I know. Um, Again, I don't want to make it perfectly clear. We're in no way trying to make you do anything you don't want to do. So if you ever want to stop or anything like that, you
Lord,
just do.
Lord knows if there's anyone out there that I can help, like just inspire or anything of that such, I would. This is well worth it. I mean, there's way many more tears that I've cried than just this. This right here would make me happy in my heart to know that I could help anyone, or he help ease their heart of pain if they're going through it. Honestly,
So I do want to ask how at such a young age, right? At 13, about to be 14, especially as a young lady or turning
yes,
into a young lady and going through all that. You know, have have I lost people close to me to violent crimes? Yes, I have, but it was a little bit different circumstance. It, you know, I was in the military before I was doing this type thing, so I still look at that as, you know, but I, as far as what happened to you and the trauma that's associated with that of being the victim of somebody that was murdered, and not just somebody that was murdered, but your mother, right? There's so many things, and unfortunately, I've never been extremely close with my parents, but I've never experienced that. But how? Because from what it sounds like, one, y'all were extremely close before this took place, and then after that, like how do you even begin to process that? If you don't mind me asking.
Honestly, I believe around. Honestly, I believe I was in shock, which they honestly, the doctors didn't know how to handle. One thing the doctors didn't know how to handle a 13-year-old was going through such traumatic situations, which my grandmother stabbed my grandfather to death over, you know, the year before my mom was murdered.
Mm,
Well, that was a tragic, situation going on as well. Anyways, the doctors didn't know how to handle it, so they put me, a 13-year-old, on Xanax. I wish they never did that, because that was the downroad spiral from there,
yeah,
honestly. But good Lord took the taste out of my mouth.
yeah.
But I don't remember. I don't remember the first, I say, good 10 years. A lot of it's very fuzzy and hazy. Some things start coming back to me. Actually, this past year, I've never been as depressed as sleeping. Like, I would want to sleep. This past year I have experienced sleeping like two, 3, 4 days at a time. I would get up, use the restroom, and sleep, eat, go back to sleep. And I've never experienced that, so I was really worried. I was like, "Whoa, never experienced that before." But but experiencing that, I I don't know. I know my daddy helped me a lot, because a lot of my family, both sides of my family, we never seen each other anymore after that, until actually, the day my dad passed away. He got to see my mom's mama, but I never got to see a lot of my family on both sides. Really, on my mom's side, which I would love to spend more time with, and I can understand, the situation at hand. But if I didn't have my daddy, and my brothers, which they end up going to jail and things like that, as well, and my dad was there, and he tried. He wasn't perfect by no means,
Mhm.
but he was there with me, and he tried his best, with me, trying to raise a little girl.
Yeah,
I
and
was very blessed for that.
so that's one of the things too, right? So people are always quick to judge. I don't, and I just want to. Nobody's perfect, right? Like if it's not me nor John, I don't associate myself with anybody that would be a part of this, right? That would be judgmental on anybody, because nobody knows how you're going to respond to anything like that. Everybody has their own personal struggles, whether it be with alcohol, drug addiction, things like that, and just ways of coping. Because unfortunately, a lot of people, especially being from the South, it just seems as though you just want to, everybody's kind of got it ingrained in them. Just be tough, stuck it up, and keep moving forward. And that, at the end of the day, that does more harm than good.
I do agree. I do agree in some ways. In some ways, I don't. But
Mhm.
I've been through so many therapists. I got to the point of, I don't want to learn them many more things. That's what I was saying, but didn't
Yeah.
know that my daughters was hearing that, and then they was needing therapists, and about situations pertaining to my mom, and etc., because of things that I was going through and still handling myself and not noticing. And honestly, the best thing that ever helped me was going to church.
Hmm.
I apologize, but it was the best thing.
Yes, ma'am. Now, and with that too, and like I said, I make no qualms about it. I'm not secretive anyway. I talk about my faith a good bit, just because I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that, right? So
Amen.
the some of the worst things I've ever been through. Well, actually, all the worst things I've ever been through in my life. There's no way without that in
And
my
we shall
belief
be for
that I've been
Amen.
here. Now, I do want to say though, like I'm not, and again, I agree with you on the therapist thing. I'm not real big into talking to anybody,
Some
especially people
people
that,
don't like it.
especially that can't understand where I'm coming from on certain things, right? But that's why I think that your story is so important because there's so many other family members or loved ones out there that have been left behind or been the victim of a violent crime such as this: daughters, sons, mothers, wives, fathers, husbands, all things like that. That I do believe that it is helpful in trying to heal a little bit more if you go and speak with people that have been through those same things. Would you agree with that, or do you think that
I
might
very
help?
much, very, very like you have drug counseling, you have, alcohol counseling like AA, NA, things like that. I absolutely just that just popped in my head. If we would have, I'm pretty sure they have counseling groups like that, but if we could have something like that around for even if it's online or anything, that would greatly, I think, in my heart, in my gut right now, it would greatly help these people. It would have greatly helped me actually.
Yeah, so that's something that I will do from this too, right? So I mean, it's a learning experience. Not only number one, I'm honored to have you on to hear your story and the way that you've done things, and I know people are going to absolutely listen to every single word that you say. But it also helps me because doing what I'm doing or doing what we're doing, you've run into so many people that unfortunately are at the absolute worst situation that you could ever imagine in life. Whether it be something happened intentionally, it was an accident, or somebody else was responsible for that. It helps me I want to be able to assist not only getting those answers and bringing the loved one home, but also being able to help the ones left behind.
Yes.
And because I 100% think that it what you said earlier was extremely powerful in the fact that it doesn't just affect that one person, that event. It affects that entire generation and everybody associated with it on down the line. And at some point, somebody has to say, okay, nobody can tell you how to live your life. Nobody can tell you how to do anything like that. But to be able to say, all right, listen, we have this resource available, or we have these people available to talk to you. I do think that there would be power in that. And I'll do everything I can to look into it and to learn more about these resources. That way I can relay them to you, relay them to everybody. But,
Right.
but it does, for me, having you to come on here. When I first started doing this, it was different because people were kind of hesitant. They were like, oh, because all you see is bad associated with these kind of things. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just bringing people on to make them look dumb or to look bad. But then when people see that I truly do only care about helping others, this is now something that we can also offer. I'm not a counselor, nothing like that, but they see
Oh,
that I I have those connections with family members that have been through this. That if I talk to somebody from Texas, we talk to people all over the country, all over the world. And if I have a family member that's been through something or needs, they like, hey, Mike, I need help with this. They're from anywhere in the world. I can say, hey, well, you know what? I know just the person that's a part of this group, and then that would be a service that I'm looking to try to make. And I would never, none of
that would
this
be
I ever want to charge a dime for. And I see people will see the power behind things like this. Does that make sense?
that makes awesome sense. That would be something great, you know, that that I know my mom would be proud of me if if just this conversation here with you just or if I can help anyone through this. I mean, inspire them. Just some people. I know some people who has committed suicide after things that's I can't compare deaths or anything like that because it's all about how you deal with it. But it would be a blessing, a truly blessing that if we ever found out who did it or if we didn't, it means I feel like that's a meaning that was the purpose of my mom,
Yeah. So
pass it on.
and that's one of the things, and I want you to have. I mean, obviously, nothing that I say or do is going to help the situation at all, right? Like, I mean, there's things that you're going to deal with there that nobody understands, but I do want you to somewhat feel a little bit of relief because, and unfortunately, through the most change anybody's ever going to see is through pain, right? Through something bad has to happen before good happens most of the time, and
Amen.
and with your mother's case. Um, and then working on, so you hear, or if you go look at my page and you see the things I share about the familial DNA or genealogy DNA testing, things like that. This is, to my knowledge, this will be a first in South Carolina history as far as them conducting that type of testing. Now, I'm not sure which lab they ended up using. I do know of the two that I was recommending were, in my opinion, the best in the country, hands down. But the power behind your mother's case is, so if when her, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when, because now that I'm involved, I'm invested, and I'm not going to take, they can't, I'm not going to take no, that's not possible for an answer, because the proof is there.
Either.
The proof is there. So making that happen. So from that, they do it with your mother's case, and then they're able to do it with 100, if not thousands of others throughout the state of South Carolina, that just that many more answers. And like, not only do you get answers, but so many other families because of this. You understand? So that,
just the closure itself, without thinking that you're not going to ever have closure. It goes with thinking, well, I used to say she was thrown out of sight on the side of 85 like a piece of trash, and and this real Christian lady told me, don't say that, your mom, it just all throughout the years, this that right there, just knowing that there's hope. When I know I keep skipping around and I do that a lot, but with you just saying, just the hope that, and also I want to say this, I think the family should have a choice, other than you, this group here should have the choice too. You number one in the group, but the family number two should have the choice of where the DNA goes to. But other than that, I forgot what I was saying. Sorry, I just had to say that. But I'm gonna get me a piece. I'm gonna get some tissue real quick. That's
yeah,
okay.
go ahead. No, take your time. And that was one of the things, and I enjoy that about what we're doing is, it brings awareness, right? So all these videos, they bring awareness. I'm not sure if you've checked out what we've done, but some of these interviews, and
I do.
and like, so I see these people and they come on and everybody's got a different message, and everybody that's like a follower of ours, if you will, like, and I don't really see them that way. Everybody that's a part of Loudwater is really truly like a part of a community, and they're nothing but supportive. They see that what I'm trying to do is real. And the more that we do this, the more people are seeing that I'm serious, and all we really truly want to do is help people. And my biggest concern is locating those missing loved ones. But as far as the grand scheme of things, like I said, if we've got different people, eventually one day become this thing to where you've got a division working into cell phone crimes, locating data off that, this genealogy, DNA testing, setting that up to have these labs, because you have to think it was 26 years. And yeah, I'm sure it had been mentioned before, but until, people just don't know. And it's not bad. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing they don't know, but 26 years, nobody knew of these two labs or these two possibility, or the possibility of this type of DNA testing. And you can't like, yeah, people can say whatever, like, okay, well, yeah, maybe it's possible, but no. And then when you present those exact facts to them, it changes, right? So now that's why we're in the process of that. And I'm telling you, it's going to be a big thing. Obviously, Loudwater is going to continue to grow, and that is all I want to do. There's so many people out there that need help, right, all
Very
across the
much.
country.
Very much, and I just thank you for even starting something like this, because this is unimaginable how much this can affect and help others. Like, I can't even explain it. I can't even begin to explain how, in my heart, how big I believe this can help a lot of people
Yeah.
that hurt, because eventually you get numb.
Yeah, and one day is too long to go without answers, and it is different. It is different, and there's just no other way. Like, you can say, you can try to dress it up and be politically correct. I'm not real big into that, but it's not a victim of a violent crime. It is, but it's a victim of murder, the most heinous crime that somebody can commit on somebody, another human being, right? And
Yeah, most definitely.
it is different in the not knowing where your loved one is aspect, but it's no different in not having those answers. It's almost worse, in my opinion.
I thought, well, I was like, well, God, would it be better if mom, if we never found her body, and we was like, okay, but we would be stuck in as in our thought process of, okay, maybe one day she'd come home, and I would never want to be that. Right there, my heart goes out to people like that greatly, because that right there would really put me in a different mindset. My heart goes out to people like that, and I was like, well, having closure, at least we know that she's gone. She's gone to heaven. Then it gives us a little peace. But people are still out there, and whomever did that to my mother, I believe it was more than one person, because she would give the shirt off her back, but she would stand for herself. But the people who did this to her, it was such a, I believe as a jealous type of hatred, that these people are either they will do it again, but I always have feared that if they never caught them, that for some reason I always felt like they would come after me. I have no reason why. I have no reason why, but I always felt like that. Sorry, I gotta be quiet a little bit because my daughter.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that that's just something nobody should ever have to go through, right? Like, yes, you've lived your own life. You've lived, you've grown up from that time frame, but at the same time, it was like your entire childhood, your entire innocence from this one pure evil act of one individual or two individuals or however many. Literally, it was almost like they took two lives away through that process because you weren't able to process and go through I guess what you would say is the normal uh,
Right,
things in
right.
life as
Like I
everybody else
was
does.
right. Like when I was a teenager, I was not able to argue with my mother. My friends, they'd be like fussing with their mom. And I'm like, hey, don't talk to your mom like that. We were just, me and my brothers is big on that. Or just something simple, like I'd get in the car with one of my friends, and we'd go to the mall or something with her mom, and I'd be sitting in the back seat just so thankful, that she still had her mom with her. I can say one thing I wasn't jealous, but I'm pretty sure there was people, people go through that. Hey, everybody's different. You deal with death so many different ways of grief that is it's just unbelievable. But I was very, I was, I've always was thankful to be able to see my friends with their parents. Because actually, I want to say this for some reason is when one week before my mom was murdered, I was in my bedroom and I was saying my prayer. Hold on one second. I was saying my prayer at night, and I was praying, and I was thanking God that I hear my mom and dad was in the living room. They were laughing, and just talking, and just and my mom wasn't crying about my grandfather who was just murdered. They was actually laughing, and I just thought, I was saying, dear Heavenly Father, just thank you for letting me have my mom and daddy together, because my friends at school right now in high school, which was at seventh grade, they don't have their aunt. They live with their aunt. They don't have their dad, or vice for their mom and things like that. So it was one thing I was so grateful for doing. At that time, was thanking God that, and remembering that time that I was able to be grateful for that.
Like, as far as, and this is just me wanting to know kind of how different people's brains process things. With with yours, does it kind of come in spurts? Is it a constant every day? I mean, I'm sure it is, right? Like a constant every day kind of sadness. Is it like sometimes it's just so overwhelming you don't know what to do? Like how, I'm just trying to think like if it's at night when it kicks in or what.
That's a good question, because I've blocked a lot out. Like I've absolutely, I think that was my coping mechanism for it.
Mm.
I have blocked a lot out, which probably had a lot to do with abusing Xanaxes. Honestly, since 13 to probably 20 something, when God took the taste out of my mouth from having seizures, et cetera, et cetera. But just that with that, it would some days, like right now, I knew that I was going to have to talk about it, I don't care if I've had the happiest day and high on God, and that's the best high you could ever get. Trust me. It will come to me, and I can't help it. It comes out. I can't. I don't care how strong I am. It's like that. But I used to dream about my mom a lot because when the night my mom died, she told me, she said, Mandy, the brightest star you see will be me. You won't cry that much. I was like, I know this sounds crazy, but she told me that, and I was like, Mama, don't say that. She's like, no, Mandy, I want you to know that. I was like, okay, Mama, I just thought she was just, and I would have dreams about her, and I would tell my daddy this too, and I'd have dreams about my mom, and it be like I could feel her in my dreams. People may believe me, whatever, but I could feel her like touching her. And I'd be like, Mama, who did this? Who did that? She'd be like, I'd be like going down 85. She'd be like, look at the billboard. It'd have a certain type of truck on there, or some other dreams I would have. She'd be like, go ahead and wake up. Your alarm clock's about to go off, baby girl. You gotta get up, go to school. I wake up, my alarm clock's going off. I'd go to school. Now that may sound weird and unusual, but take it for what it's worth. But it kind of feels like, in ways, my mom grew up with me throughout my dreams, honestly. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just how I feel about it. Until my dad had a dream like that once, really. But I quit dreaming. Because my dad, when he had that dream about my mom, he was like, Mandy, now I'm telling you, baby girl. He said, you don't understand. I could feel her little lips, because my dad and my brothers used to cry because I looked like my mama so much that they would literally cry when they looked at me when I was young. And he's like, you don't understand, Mandy. My daddy would say, he was like, her little lips, I could kiss her little lips, I could feel them. I was like, Daddy, that's the dreams I've been trying to tell you about, and it just, the smile on his face was, it was awesome. I was grateful for that, for him to experience that. But other than that, I really don't know. Other than guardian angels, like, I'm really serious, is for me getting through that, through me unfortunately going through the drug addiction, and letting down my family as I feel, but letting down my mom and my dad the most, but and my kids. But sorry.
Again, don't apologize, but you're clearly doing a good job, right? And like I said, nobody's perfect on anything. And you're 13, you're 14 years old. At the time, people didn't even understand what post-traumatic stress disorder was, right? So they automatically
Right.
want to throw medicine at it, and unfortunately, because
I was like a guinea pig just a little bit. They didn't know what to do, with 13-year-old. I mean, I can understand that in the medical field a little bit, but
yeah, well, it's not until recently either. I mean, we were in the longest standing conflict between Iraq and Afghanistan until they really started looking at the way trauma affected people, right? So it was completely different. And you had to deal with that. You didn't have anybody to really turn to. Yeah, you had your family, but
someone who really could help you and understand that so many different levels of, I believe, of PTSD, and
correct.
how it happens and comes in spurts, like you were saying. And like, some days can be, I didn't mean to interrupt you, I apologize, but I did, some days I'll be fine and happy go lucky. I'm trying to get out of this little depression right now I'm going through, of sleeping all the time, because I've never been this big in my life other than delivering all three of my girls.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I believe everything happens for a reason, good and bad. And I don't know how to say this, but it was just like, I know it's very bad, and unfortunately for my mother's death, but I know there's a good reason for it, even though it sounds kind of crazy. Um, I believe that. I don't know how to explain that.
No, it's not crazy because it was like or I was talking to you about just a little bit ago. Yeah, it's a painful thing. It's destroyed some parts of your life. It's destroyed parts of others' lives, but through that pain and now channeling all that, the hurt, and into power is going to make a difference in so many other people's lives. And that's just kind of the way that you Or I'm not telling you what to do at all, but I just like that's one
That,
thing I think would help you look at it.
that is something I've always wanted to do. Was I remember a certain detective sled agent that was over my mom's case. I never forget him as long as I live. I was like, I always want to be a detective, but I didn't want to get attacked by a dog. But I've always wanted to help people, help any way, help solve homicide cases, and solve homicide cases and everything. And I just didn't want to get attacked by a dog. So that's go figure. I don't know what made me think of that.
Yeah. But no, and it will, and you're going to see there's a lot of good that comes from it, or because like I said, now that I'm invested in it, I'm gonna do everything that I can to make sure this is all the way through, and to also get it set up to where people like you and others are going to be able to have a place to where they can go, right? Uh, one thing I do one thing I do want to know though, right? And like I said, I'm not going to keep you on forever, but
Are you good? Honey, I could talk to you guys all night.
how something that I know that helps that I've noticed that have helped other people or other cases that we've dealt with and things is like obviously it's some of the most traumatic experiences people will ever go through in their life. But something I found that helped them out a lot is just kind of tell us if you want to tell us some good things or like some of the best memories that you have of your mother, right? Like really paint that picture of who she was, not just a face on a poster, right? But like tell the world about your mom.
My mom was, I know I said this earlier, but my mom was she always was smiling. She was, I say Pisces, I'm in horoscopes, but my mother she was a very loving person. She would give the shirt off her back to someone, but she also don't mess with her family and kids. She was that type of person, but she was a very religious lady. Um, she stood up for what she believed in, but she also stood up for others. And there's a lot of great things that I do remember about my mother that sometimes it comes and goes with me. Like I say, from blocking it out, but like one of the best memories I have with my mom was being on the ocean with my mother. That's one place that we love that we connect with is the ocean. And there was a lot of things that my mom, I remember one time, I can't, it's maybe start laughing now, but one thing was, my mom never whooped me or anything. I probably needed it, but she never whipped me when I was little, but she'd pop me in my mouth. I'm like, don't do that. I'm gonna tell my daddy. She'd pop me in the mouth. She said, well, tell him I did that. And but she would never. She she was so funny though, and I don't. She was always happy, go lucky. She loved life. She really loved life.
That's
Yeah, she did.
that's good. I mean, but so those things like that, that's I think part of it. Yeah, you talk about the dreams, and you said you thought that was kind of crazy. I don't think that's crazy at all. I mean, this
Oh,
that
I know it probably sounds crazy to others, but
you're talking about a bond between a mother and her child, right? Like, especially. I mean, yeah, like it's one thing for a son and his mother, but like a mother and her daughter, that's something like I don't think anybody like if you're not that, you can't understand it. And for that just to be abruptly taken away, maybe I don't know. I can't explain everything. I'm not going to sit here and try to pretend I'm some kind of doctor or anything, but that's definitely something in my opinion that's amazing. I think that's awesome. I also think it's a sign, or it's also the big man upstairs was looking out for you in a certain way.
if it wasn't, she's one of my guardian angels. I know it without a shadow of a doubt. But if it wasn't for the man upstairs and from the 4-wheeler wreck I've had, going off a 45-foot embankment, going 45 mile an hour, the barbed wire fence landed directly on my head with feet first in the air. From that, and from just how many pills that I would actually eat, not take.
Mhm.
That's a big difference. Just the things that I have just trying to cope with it, but numb myself because I was so numb for so long, which I'm starting to feel again, but it's kind of scary. at the same time, there's no way, shape, or form that I would be here. I'm living proof that there is something, there's a higher power out there. I don't know what everybody else's beliefs is, but what mine is, what helps me is my higher power and my guardian angels without a shadow of a doubt. I wouldn't be here.
Yes, ma'am. Think about, right? So you get so overwhelmed, you get so consumed with all the negative stuff that comes from it. I mean, it's not a good situation at all. But
Right.
the fact that you're still here, the fact that, you remember these things, the fact that, there's so many things that your
I,
mother did that you now do. And, you didn't really even learn that. They were just instilled in you from birth, right?
I'm very blessed of that because one thing it is you got not what to expect when expecting.
Mm,
But Lord knows I wish I could pick up a phone and be able to talk to my mother and, and say, hey, mom, what do I do about my daughter? Which I'm blessed with three daughters,
mm,
three awesome daughters, but, those little simple things that people take for granted, just don't do it. And I just try to warn people all the time. Just, I know my mama would get on my nerves, but I sure wouldn't tell her.
yeah, yeah,
Just her
yeah.
hollering, her raising her voice at me, or my dad raising his voice, I would cry. I
Mm,
would cry. But um, I would just, oh, I wish, I can't say I wish, I don't know if it would be harder on me if I had a mom this long. Like, I had my mom 13 years and I had my daddy 31,
mm,
right? So I don't know, I'm numbers thing. And I was like, would it have been harder on me to have all these other memories with long, have longer memories with my mom, and and then see my kids, lose their grandmother, and I don't know if that makes if I said that the right way, but I don't know.
I think it's just part of that, the what ifs, right? The fact that you
Oh, buddy.
you wished you had known, right? So, or not necessarily wish, but there's so many. I mean, that's what you've had to do for a long time. It's just what if the entire scenario.
Right. I'm so used to, yes, I just couldn't imagine. But one day we'll all know if, just so happened how, before you guys come along and gave us, get just having faith,
Hmm.
just a little bit of a mustard seed of faith.
Yeah.
There's a long way, and I'm sorry, my crybaby, but it goes a long way to help people
Well,
tremendously.
let me
And
ask
I
you.
thank you.
Yeah, no, I just greatly appreciate it. But is there anything that we can do that we haven't done that you think might be able to help y'all even more? Um, just really, I mean, what is it that we could do to help you? That's really all I'm concerned with. So if there's something you could think of you'd rather us do, if there's something you want us to do, I'll do whatever we can.
Well, what you're working on, if there was a way that we could, or you could, or whomever get
Hmm.
get these groups, like even if it's online or like people across the United States, whomever, to get together, that could be, pen pals or whatever per se, however you want to label it, just to talk to each other, that would be tremendously. I feel like now since you have brought that up, things like that, I feel like that would be like a purpose of mine that I could help tremendously if someone may not probably may not help, but if I could find out just one person out of a million, I would have fulfilled something, out of it. That right there is awesome for someone to do that. Just even think of that, and I'm so grateful for that, for you and this company that you guys have. It's, I don't know how to say it without
No,
breaking down again. I'm gonna quit being a crybaby, okay?
no,
My
and
dog's looking at me like,
yeah, no, and I think, like I said,
man,
so I do. I think that would be something that's good, not for a lot of people, right? And
yes.
that's I'm telling you, there's going to be a huge outpour of support. I mean, I posted about we were going to have this conversation the other day, and I don't know if you went there and read those comments and everything, but people hadn't even heard your story yet, and they were already like welcoming you with open arms. And that's the only thing I surround myself
Oh,
with, right? Like if there's people that come in every now and then we got somebody that come in, they just want to be like a drama queen or something like that, or drama king. And I ain't got time for that, right? Like, it does not hurt my feelings. I'm not scared to piss people off. If you are not supporting what I'm doing, then just go on. I don't want you. I don't need
Don't
you.
waste
Go
time.
somewhere else. And but but
Understandable.
but it is in the same aspects of your mother's case being a first in the state of South Carolina, kind of like a groundbreaking thing, which it really is. And I'm not saying that lightly. Like, I mean, truly,
No,
when they get the answers to that case, it's going to help so many others. But with you as well, and other parts of your family or whoever that's been affected by this, if like with what you're doing now, people are going to see what you're saying. They're going to see your message and they're going to be like, you know what? I know so and so that's been through this, or you know what? I dealt with this, and what she just said, nobody else has ever said it, but that's exactly how I feel. And people are going to want to talk and reach out to you.
that would be awesome. That would be so awesome. It really would. And I'm just waiting on my husband, Jesus, to get back from Mexico. He's been gone since 2018, and he was my support system. Her father, my daughter Nellie, you met.
Yeah.
And he's born on the same day, same year. Two Scorpios is how I put it. But
Yeah.
he was a great man, and I just want him to come back home. I feel like it'd be my backbone, But
Yeah.
he always told me, he said, Mandy, you have one heck of, he never cussed or anything.
Yeah.
At all. If he said shit, like the word, I was like, what? He was
Yeah.
great, very calm with me. Okay. About me separating with my dad, from my dad living my first marriage. My dad would live with me for 10 years, my first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Second marriage, my dad lived in Blacksburg. I lived in Inman, and it was so hard for me to get away from my dad and everything. But this man, I know I'm skipping around, but that man, he told me, he said, Mandy, you have such a great testimony to help others one day, and I don't fulfill, he said, he don't feel like that I fully understand what he means by that. Excuse me. But that two ways I do understand it. I don't know how to explain this, but he said that I have a great testimony of however he's saying in a godly way and about helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I didn't see it. In some ways I see it now, but like I say, some things I see later on down the road, I'm like, that's, light bulb goes off. And I was like, that's why that happens. Like I say, the good and bad, whatever, if you're following me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it.
But, he just said that. But if there's anything, if I don't care if it's 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, if someone needs to talk to me, that I'd be more than glad to wake up, throw my hair up in a bun and talk to someone.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do just while I was listening to you. I've been thinking about it the whole time while we've been talking. I've been writing stuff down or whatever. But so what I'm going to do just on my end to show you that I'm serious about that is, so we'll start, and John didn't know this, and I didn't even know it until we had this conversation. But I'm gonna start what's called the Manley Project. And it'll basically be dedicated to your mother, and that's something that we can do. To where it'll basically be that support system, right? So I just wrote that down, and I believe in what I'm doing so much that there's no way that it's going to fail, right? And something like that, the Manley Project itself, not only does it honor your mother, but it also allows you, not just you, but everybody else that we've talked about that could benefit from this, right? So that's something basically I just came up with on the spot, and that's what I'm going to do on my end. And so I'll announce that. I mean, I'm sure there's some legwork and things I got to look into to get that set up, but we'll so I'm gonna make that happen. And so John, he'll be a part of that as well, and we'll get that up and running.
Thank you so very much. I've been trying to get in touch with my brothers. They can't talk to me about my mom and dad passing.
Yeah,
it's just something they cannot do. But they're inseparable.
mm-hmm.
But they just can't talk to their baby girl about their mom and dad, because I'm the baby in the bubble. Is how it was.
Yeah.
But my brothers, I believe in them so much, and I want them to be able to oh, excuse me. I want them to be able to I gotta let someone in.
Right.
I want them to be able to talk to someone too, because I was sending them a text message, like screenshotting, letting them know that I was going to talk to you about my mom today.
Yeah.
And I could see them checking the text messages, but Lance checked it, but Robbie, so I know he's like, hey, I
Yeah.
don't know why they're like that, but they hold a lot in, and especially around me, it's
Yeah.
very censored, very, very censored. But they, I know they can help a lot of people.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. They've got a story too, and again, I respect everybody, right? I would never push anybody to do anything they didn't want to do, but as you can,
Certainly. I appreciate that.
but
There's a lot of my heart.
yeah, absolutely. So we'll get that set up, but um, so that's what I'll do. Like I said, that was the one thing that you asked, or that was really the only thing that you asked, or thought that was a good idea. So I'll definitely get that set up for you. Um, and I'll announce that today because I'll edit this and we're going to post it as well. So we'll announce it with that. Uh, is there anything else you could think of that you would like for us to do? I mean, are you okay with everything that we've been doing? We hadn't done anything to upset you or nothing like that, have we?
No, honey, no, by no means. From you to trying to even reopen my mom's case and just taking the time and effort to help, just to actually just take the time and effort to want to think about taking the time and effort to check on this case means so much to me and my family.
Mhm.
And even though I don't know which one of you guys that I talked to
It was
right
me.
when I didn't know anyone. I didn't know this was happening because really, me and my families, we don't stay in touch. Like, I know our families would want us to, our deceased one, our loved ones, but how do I say this? It just because I need them, like my Aunt Melissa. I love that woman so much. I look up to her, like. But my Aunt Melissa, she's an awesome woman, and I know she needs closure because she has been through a lot of stuff, buddy. A lot of stuff like we all have, and like every one of these victims and families have. And I'm grateful for what she's done, and grateful, so grateful for what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you. That means a lot. And yeah, as far as Melissa, she is that's an extraordinary lady, man.
Oh, she's so tough.
I'm I've met a lot of interesting people, and I've never met her in person, but I've talked to her extensively, right? And she doesn't hold any punches back. Everything she does is pretty calculated, but she's definitely going. I think what
She's a role model of me. She's a role model. She's the number one role model of mine.
I think what ended up helping was she saw that and it's weird to come in and you hear somebody that you've never heard anything from, and it's like, hey, yeah, well, we can help you with this. And at first, she was standoffish, but now I think she and everybody else is seeing like if I tell you that we're going to do something, that's exactly what's going to happen. And if we can't do it, somebody else, I will find somebody that can. And I don't make any qualms about that. I'm not perfect. We're not operating with some multi-million-dollar budget. It's nothing more than pure hard work and dedication to what we're doing. So that is, and I think that's kind of what separates us. I mean, yeah, people come and go. They do certain things, but this is it, right? So this is what I'm doing. This is my life's work, and eventually we'll get there someday. But the way I look at it, we've already changed or helped change a bunch of lives, and we've only
Hey,
it's just getting started.
that right there is awesome. Just to give those families closure, and I couldn't imagine. Hopefully, one day I will, if it's in God's will.
Mhm.
That's how I put it, and just thank you for those families that has got closure, because I couldn't imagine, but hopefully one day I will.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Well, that's all we're gonna do. If you don't need anything else from us, I'm gonna get off here, let you go back to doing your thing, and get this set up, and we'll
I'll
get it
quit being a
set.
crybaby.
No, that's fine, but just be ready. There's gonna be a lot of people that reach out to you. Um,
Bring them on. That'd be
everybody,
great.
everybody that like I said, everybody that follows us, everybody's part of the Loudwater Outfitters community. They're super supportive on things, so you'll get a lot of outreach for that, and then we'll get to work on setting up that project. So, is there anything else you need from us right now?
No, it's not. I'm trying to, I got to get my face. It's going to be red for the next 2 hours. But thank you so very much. And I'm just speechless right now. I got to tell my daughter about what you guys just told me.
Yeah.
And
No.
I thank you so very much.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I'm waiting on anybody that wants to get in touch with me. If I can help them, it's a blessing.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. And if you need anything at all, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Okay.